So the first thing we need to do is talk a little bit about tomorrow and how tomorrow is going to look. Oh, hold on, let me adjust that in before I talk too much. So tomorrow we're going to have the shortened schedule in the morning again. So each of your classes is only going to be half an hour. I'm sure your teachers in first period already talked to you about it. So 9 to 9:30, 9:30 to 10, 10 to 10:30, 10:30 to 11, and 11 to 11:30. From 12:30 to 3, we're going to be scheduling individual appointments with students to actually check in and get help in classes you want. It is voluntary for those of you that are passing. If you want an appointment, you can request one and we can fit you in somewhere. Those of you that are failing or that are close will be having check-ins from your teachers most likely today, talking to you about whether or not it's necessary to schedule you an actual appointment. So I'm gonna just kind of send people messages throughout class today. If I do send you one, please respond to it. Don't just ignore it. But yeah. So if you do want to come into Point tomorrow for math, just let me know. Both Barb and I will be running separate meetings, so you can meet with either of us. If you have a preference either way, Barb is less intimidating than I am, I'm sure. But like I said, I'll just be doing check-ins with a bunch of you throughout the day today. If you are doing well, passing, or if you're just feeling like you want to get some extra help or even just do a check-in, just let me know, and we can put you on the schedule as well. For today, we're going to actually start talking about a couple more in-depth angles and parallel things. So one of the things that's going to be a little bit different about this unit is the way we're going to do our assessment. So for the assessment, instead of having you do a math-based quiz, I'm going to have you do an actual like little mini project. So you'll have all day tomorrow during class and all day Monday to do it. And it's going to look pretty similar to the challenge problem that I'm going to give you today in class. But the first couple are going to be more like review and extra practice things that'll help you with the math-based or the IXL assignments. So first thing first, we're going to look at this. This very fun firework looking thing has a whole bunch of different lines, whole bunch of different points. And there's some vertical angles, some complementary angles, some supplementary angles, all that good stuff. And we've got a couple questions we want to answer. So the first question is, which angle is supplementary to angle CXD? So one of the things, I'm going to walk through this one on its own. So I'm going to kind of talk about it, and then I want you guys to try the other one on your own. So for this one, what they're asking is, which angle is supplementary to the angle I'm going to highlight right here? CXD. So we're looking for an angle that's supplementary to this one that I'm really boldly outlining in red, apparently. So first of all, can anybody remind me, what does supplementary mean? Yeah, so supplementary angles add up to 180 degrees or form a straight line. So we need to find an angle, one angle that combined with the one that I just highlighted will give us a supplementary angle. Now, that means that we need to find a straight line that'll go through this. And the only one we can use is the rest of this green line. So we've got this angle here. We need to get the angle that I just put right there. The reason we can't use anything else is if we did the angle, like for instance, from here, this is in a straight line. We're missing this part to make it a full 180 degrees. And there's no other line that would work that goes through C. So the only possible angle is this one right here. And that is angle CXH or HXC. So for this one, angle HXC or angle CXH, whichever way you want to think about it. The next one, though, I want you guys to actually try out on your own. So we're asking which angle is complementary to angle FXG. So that's this angle right here. So one of the first things you're going to have to identify here is that we said that there's a 90-degree angle right here between the green line and the brown line. One of the nice things that this tells us is that this angle over here is also 90 degrees, as is this one, and as is this one. The reason for that is this is a 90-degree angle, and this one, so DXF is a 90-degree angle, and FXH is supplementary, which means it also is a 90-degree angle, and the other two are their verticals, so they're congruent. So knowing that this is a 90-degree angle, we're given angle, is it FXG? Which angle is complementary to that? Please type your answer in the private chat. You don't need to do the little angle symbol, you can just do the letters. Correct, Pamela. Not quite, Dane. Not quite, Todd. Nope. So it's probably going to be adjacent to the angle that we've got. So we've got FXG is most likely going to be adjacent to that. What? No, Asa, you still have to stay for actual class today. AXD. Nope, not AXD. Not ABX. Barb, that one works.
Mu.
I agree. There you go, Dane. So, Aiden, are you gonna try it, or are you just gonna moo at me?
I'm thinking.
Just checking. So this is very similar to how your homework looks, guys. So this is really a good chance to be practicing. Aiden, I'm going to assume that you meant X instead of a comma, but that one doesn't work. That is correct, Pamela. No, Todd, not quite. Change this to an eraser. This. So again, we're looking for complementary to that angle right there. Those of you that are not able or don't understand which angle it is, at least tell me, what does complementary mean? Actually, I'll make it simpler. Everybody, please tell me, what does complementary mean? Almost, Pamela, you're off by just a little bit. It doesn't mean the same exact, Aiden. That's congruent. Talking about complementary. Dane, that's correct. Thank you. That's supplementary, Phoenix. No. Not quite, Asa. Okay, maybe we need to go back and like actually write these definitions down. There you go, Brennan. Okay, let's see. I'm still missing answers from a lot of people. So, all right. Okay, if you don't know what complementary means, listen up, write this down somewhere. You're going to need it. So complementary means that the angles add up to 90 degrees. Supplementary means that the angles add up to 180 degrees. And then vertical are angles that are opposite each other, and they are always congruent. So when we're looking for a complementary angle to fxg, what we're looking for is the other angle that will make a right angle with it. So we'll form 90 degrees. That's this angle right here, the angle right next to it. So these together form a 90-degree angle. We had this one that I'm going to kind of color in. So we needed the one over to the side, which is the angle either GXH or HXG. GXH or HXG. Okay, so we're gonna make this one, the next one, a little bit easier. Which angle is a vertical to angle DXE? So angle DXE is right here, DXE. What angle is vertical or opposite angle DXE? Dane, that's correct. Pamela, that's correct. Barb, that's correct. Todd, not quite. You're close. Asa, you need the X in the middle. Nope. So Todd, look at the two lines that are forming DXE. Make sure you have the same two lines forming your new angle. Yes, except the X needs to be in the middle. Close, Aiden, but not quite. There you go, Todd. Nope, Aiden, you're going the wrong direction. But your first two letters are right. Almost, but not quite that far. Almost, but not quite that far. There you go. So the angle that is opposite DXE, or the vertical angle, is this angle right here. Because it's made up of the same lines, and it's on the opposite. So this is AXH. So I had a couple people that were putting things like AHX or ABX or whatever. That would be the angle formed here, which first of all, in this case, doesn't exist because we don't have a line here. But it'd be over here instead. And that's a different angle. So make sure you're using the right point in the middle when you're doing your angles. Okay, one more that I want to practice. We're going to do supplementary to angle AXC. So that is this angle right here. We're looking for the supplementary angle. Good, Pamela. Not quite Aiden. Not quite Dane. Dane, that's closer to a vertical angle. Dane and Todd, you're both giving the same answer that's just slightly off. Aiden, not quite. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a hint. Supplementary and complementary angles are almost always adjacent, which means they share at least one side. It's technically not always the case, but almost always. There you go, Dane. Todd, almost. You get the first two letters right, but that doesn't quite go far enough. Yeah, Aiden, that's good. There you go, Todd. Okay. Is anybody else still trying before I move on? I'm getting very low participation from you guys today, which is very concerning. So the angle we were looking for here is an angle CXE or EXC, whichever way you want to write it. So we had this one. We need to make it into a straight line, so we go all the way to here. Okay. So let's move on. This is hopefully a little bit easier. This is solving angle problems. So what we're doing here is we're just trying to use what we know about complementary, supplementary, and vertical angles to solve for the angles that we're missing here. So we have a complementary set of angles right here. We're given one of the two measures. We're given the 75 degrees. We want to figure out how much A is, or what the value of A is. These two are supplementary. We're given one angle, which is 120, and we want to fill in the other angle, which is D. And then on the last one, we've got vertical angles. We're given the 45 degrees, and we want to figure out E, F, and G. So go ahead and try each of these out. Carter, that's correct for A. But with the information given, you should be able to solve all of these angles values. Dane, that's correct. Benito, you put them in everyone chat, so I'm not going to say whether or not those are right yet. Todd, double check. Carter, that's correct. Dane, that's correct. Jennifer, that is correct. Lucas, try the problem. And stop knocking on the window. There you go, Todd. Pamela, good on all of them. Dane, not quite. Benito, yes, that is correct. Not the one that you put in all chat. The one you put in private chat. Try the problem. Aiden, that's correct for A, D, and E. Now solve for F and G. Jocelyn, good. Benito, good. Neato, good again. Okay, this seems to be a little bit better for people. That's good. Okay, so a lot of you were getting A already. So A, since it's complementary, we know that they have to add up to 90 degrees. So we're going to start with 90, subtract our 75, and we're left with 15 degrees is A. A said double check your D, because I'm about to talk about that one. There you go. For supplementary, so we know that these total up to 180 degrees. So we've got 180 minus 120 equals 60. So D should be 60 degrees. Now, of the vertical ones, a lot of people are getting E. F and G seem to be a little bit more of a struggle. So we talked about vertical angles and how they're congruent yesterday. So the measure of one is equal to the measure of the other. So that makes these ones really easy, right? This is 45 degrees. F and G are a little bit tougher. There are two possible ways you could think about these. First of all, we know that this whole thing is going to make a whole circle. Circle is 360 degrees, so you need to make sure that the F and G combined with the two 45-degree angles gives you 360. But a better way to do this is to look at just the angle we're given, 45, and angle G. So this one, you'll notice these two together are supplementary. So they form on this straight line right here. So angle G plus 45 has to equal 180, which means the way to solve for it would be take 180, subtract 45, and you're left with 135 degrees. So G is 135 degrees, and since it is vertical to F, F is also 135 degrees. Okay, any questions about how we solved that? All right, let's look at another problem. So these ones are a little bit trickier. Go ahead and try to solve at least A and X. We'll talk about G or D, E, F, and G in just a little bit. Notice that A and A, these are both the same measure. So be careful. And then X is the same number in both. So solving these is going to take a little bit of your algebra skills. Dane, not quite. Todd, that is correct. Carter. Oh, wait. Todd, you were close. Carter, you're correct. Todd, yours would add up to 80 degrees, not 90. Jennifer, good. Aiden, good. There you go, Todd. Sorry, I missed that. Dane, that's good. Let's see. Pamela, good on all of them. Todd, that's correct. Dane, you're close, but not quite. Like, I know what you did wrong, and if it wouldn't spoil it for everybody else, I would tell you because it's a really small mistake. That's probably the worst part about distance learning, by the way. It's when I can see what you guys are doing wrong, but I'm like, it's so easy to fix. Correct, Todd? So everybody should be able to do at least E and F in this last one. So go ahead and try those while I talk about A and X. So for A, what we want to notice is that this whole thing is complementary with 24 degrees. So we can figure out the measure of the whole thing, which in this case would be 90 minus 24, which is 66. And then since we know that A and A are split in half, each one of them is worth half of this measure. So we can just divide this by 2 to get 33, which is our value for A. X is a little bit tougher. So we've got this whole thing is supplementary. We know that. And we've got 5x and 6x. So what we can do is set up an equation. This is 5x plus x equals 180. 5x plus x, when we practiced this a little bit last term. When we're combining like terms, we're just effectively adding 5x plus 1x, which is 6x. 6x equals 180. Divide both sides by 6, and we get x equals 30 degrees. So those two are a little bit trickier, but still pretty solvable. D, E, F, and G. So solving for F is pretty easy. It's vertical to the 75-degree angle. So we just put in 75 here. That one's done. Easy peasy. The 45-degree angle is also vertical with E. So this one, again, just 45 degrees. And then we've got G and D. These would be a little bit tougher, but we actually don't have to do a whole lot for these. What we do is we know that D is supplementary to the combined angle of 45 and 75 degrees. So we'll do 180, which is for our supplementary, minus the 75, minus the 45. And that's going to give us D. So basically what we're doing is taking this whole big angle, which is 180 degrees. We're subtracting away this one, which is 75. We're subtracting away this one, which is 45, and that leaves us with just D. So if we do this, we'll get, this is 105 minus 45 is 60 degrees. So D is 60 degrees, and then since it's vertical to G is 60 degrees. Okay. So the last thing we're going to work on is this. This is a challenge problem. This is actually very similar to what your assessment is going to look like. So you are given one angle right here, 110 degrees. Technically, you should be able to solve for every other angle in this picture. Yeah, I guess you're also given that this is 90 and this is 90. So technically, you would be able to get every single other angle. But the only one that I want you to solve for is X right here. Doing this is a little bit complicated. So take your time, try this out. While you guys are doing this, I'm going to be messaging people about potentially meeting tomorrow. So if I do message you, please make sure you respond and check that. But otherwise, you guys give this one a shot. I'll talk about it in a little bit, and then we'll get going on your assignment for today. Also, I just realized I haven't solved this one yet. So if you guys tell me what your answer is, I won't know off the top of my head whether it's right. Okay, I think. Okay, let me solve this just really quick. Okay, so far, nobody's got it. Great. So first things first, let's start with this. Can anybody tell me what is the measure of this angle right here? Good. Anybody else? Good. Okay, how about this? If you can't tell me what this angle is here, then you need to stay after class today because you're going to need extra help. So everybody needs to try this right now. Because if you can't tell me what the measure of this angle right here that I'm highlighting in red is, then we really need to get you some extra practice. Todd, were you trying to answer for X still? Oh. Still waiting on a lot of people. I'm not going to say who's right now. I'm going to talk about it as a group. Okay, so this angle and 110 are what? Are they supplementary, complementary, or vertical? Correct, Pamela. They're supplementary, which means this angle, 110, and the angle I've highlighted add up to 180 degrees. So 180 minus 110 equals 70. So this angle right here measures 70 degrees. What is the measure of this angle? Good, that one seems a little easier for people. 70 degrees. Now, one of the things we talked about on the first day was what happens when you have a transversal that hits two parallel lines. So what we can do here, say, okay, this line right here, this blue line, is effectively acting as a transversal on these two green lines, right? So these two green lines are parallel. This line crosses both of them at the same angle, so it's a transversal. This means that all of the angles that we have right here, which we could, by the way, if we could fill in, this is 110. All of these angles are congruent with all of these angles down here. So we can say that this is 70 degrees, this is 70 degrees, this is 110 degrees, this is 110 degrees. Then we can also say that, okay, blue lines are both parallel. So this green line is effectively acting as a transversal between those two. So this one is 70 degrees. This one is 70 degrees. This one is 110 degrees. And this one is 110 degrees. So just by using vertical angles and what we know about parallels, we've already filled in all of these. By the way, these ones are also 70, 70, 110, and 110. So all of these angles you can fill in just by knowing supplementary angles to get the 70, and then parallels and verticals. That's it. Now, to actually solve this one for x, we have to use this part right up here. So we know that all the angles added together in a triangle measure 180 degrees. If you've got a 70, you've got a 90, so we need to figure out what this one is here. If this is 70 and this is 90, the whole thing adds up to 180. To solve for the last one, all we have to do is subtract. So 180 minus 90 minus 70. 180 minus 90 is 90. 90 minus 70 is 20. So this angle right here is 20 degrees. This angle that we just solved for is complementary to x. And a bunch of you are already giving me the correct answer now. So the angle, since it's complementary to x, that means they add up to 90 degrees. We have 90 minus 20 equals 70. So x is 70 degrees. Now, obviously, that was a lot of different things that we had to do. But what we did is all we really did is combine our knowledge of supplementary angles to get one, vertical angles to get other ones, some parallel stuff to just translate these, right? These are all the same. So there's not really any math we're doing here. We're just knowing that these are congruent. And then we used a little bit of knowledge of triangles and then complementary, right? So there's nothing really new here. It's just kind of putting it all together. So like I said, your assessment is going to look like this. I'm going to give you kind of a grid with some parallel lines, some lines cutting through it, and some angles measured. And your goal is going to be able to fill in the other ones. So if you're confused right now, if you're struggling with this, please do not leave class until you've stayed, talked, and gotten some help about it, okay? But otherwise, you guys still have the same homework assignment from yesterday. You should be able to do the rest of it with what we learned today. So if you're feeling comfortable with this stuff, you can take off. If I messaged you, please respond to me before you leave. But otherwise, you guys are good. Have a